Hello, my name is Mike McKee, and I'm the Technical Product Specialist for vFoglight Storage. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about collecting from the Dell Compellent. The Dell Compellent requires the Enterprise Manager 6.2 or higher. The Enterprise Manager client must also be installed, and the Enterprise Manager client is taken from the Enterprise Manager. So you install the Enterprise Manager, and then you go to a website it gives you, and then you could download the client and install that as well. We require Java 1.6 and .NET 3.51 to be installed on the server. And we recommend that you install this on a server that's not the FigLam server, because we have had situations where the storage collection agent has trouble collecting from the middleware, which is the Enterprise Manager, if it's on the same server. So recommend that's on a different server. You can get the Compellent Manager from Dell, and the install docs will give you some more details on that. And just like all the other SMAS agents, this is going to use 5988 and 5989 to communicate with our product. Just kind of a basic overview here is you're going to install the Dell Compellent Enterprise Manager. And I always create a new ID with administrator permissions. Simply, in case something happens, it's always nice to have a backup ID. So I use the one I create and leave the original one alone. You're going to go to a website that's given to you in the application to download the Enterprise Manager client. You're going to launch the Agent Manager with those new credentials once it's installed. And then you're going to add your volumes in Agent Manager. Then you're going to run a PowerShell script to set up the SMAS credentials. And then you're going to configure vFoglight to collect. Not quite as complicated as it seems, and I'm going to walk you through the whole process right now. So here we are on a server which is not the vFoglight FigLam server, and we're going to go ahead and install the Compellent Enterprise Manager. What this will allow you to do is collect from the Dell Compellent arrays. vFoglight Storage will collect information from the Compellent Enterprise Manager, and the Compellent Enterprise Manager will be the one that goes out to the array and actually retrieves that information. Couple of requirements. We need you to install the Java runtime environment, and we recommend installing version 6. We've had some problems with version 7 and the Compellent Enterprise Manager, but 6 seems to be nice and stable. In addition to that, we require the .NET 3.51 install. Now on 2008, that is just a feature that you turn on right here. If you're running 2003 or something, it's a download you'll need to install. So I've already installed both of those requirements. Let's go ahead and install the Enterprise Manager. Okay. Now that the Enterprise Manager has been installed, let's do a little bit of configuration. I'm just going to do a test case here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the local file system as a database. If you're going to be running with this on a long-term basis, I recommend that you install some other type of a database that's a little bit more robust. And it warns me about that. I don't have any kind of an activation key, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the 30-day embedded license. Now I'm going to enable SMAS because that is effectively the entire reason we're here. And let's go ahead and create an administrator. All right, next. All right, now it's going to allow us to log in with the credentials that you just created. Now, one thing you will notice is that this is going to create a service right here, and this service is what controls the SMAS application. All right, first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another user. I like to have a second user just in case something goes wrong or whatnot, and that way I've got a backup. And we'll go ahead and make that user an administrator. Excellent. Then we're going to go ahead and go back to the general information, and we are going to go to this website right here, and that'll allow us to get the next piece of the puzzle. Alright, let's go ahead and paste that URL in there and continue to the website. You want to download the client installer. So let's go ahead and download that and just save that in the same directory. And then go ahead and run it. We don't need the web browser anymore. And that's all there is to installing it. Now let's go ahead and launch the client. And we're going to go ahead and log in with the same set of credentials that we created a little bit earlier, the SMAS ones. And of course you can create whatever set of credentials you want. And then we're going to go ahead and add a storage center here. Set the credentials. Okay, and the compellent's been added cleanly. Go ahead and minimize this. So the last piece of the puzzle is to configure the SMAS connector. So let's go ahead and go into All Programs and the Dell Compellent Enterprise Manager, and you'll notice that there is a PowerShell script which launches the SMAS user configuration. So let's go ahead and execute that. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I was unable to execute that. So if we go into PowerShell, we can get our execution policy, and ours is restricted. That's why we can't launch the PowerShell scripts. So let's go ahead and set the execution policy, and we will set that to all signed. Now before you do any of this stuff, you're going to want to check with your security folks just to make sure that this is okay. That's all we need to do there. Now when we go back to the script, it launches cleanly. So we're going to go ahead and run this once. We want to manage our users. And let's go ahead and list our SMAS users, of which we have none. So we'll go ahead and add one. And I'm going to go ahead and add the SMAS user we just created. Get my passwords in there. Excellent. Now if we list them, we see our SMAS user. So go ahead and exit out of this. And the next thing I'd like to do is go ahead and manage certificates. If we're going to use SSL, I just go ahead and add the default certificate. Add it to the SMAS user right there. Okay, now that that's done, we are done with this tool. And there we go. So here we are back in vFoglight, and we're going to go ahead and configure the Dell collections. So go to Storage Environment, and then come up to the Administration tab. And we're going to go ahead and add. I'm going to go ahead and put the collector there. Choose Storage Arrays and then the Dell Compellent. You're going to need to enter the IP address. And this is going to be the IP address of the manager we just configured. And then a name if you want. And we use the default port, so we don't need to worry about that. Excellent. So let's go ahead and verify our credentials here. And using the right credentials there. And go ahead and release it, the lockbox to the client. And let's go get our compellent. Excellent, and there it is. It's showing us the array that we just configured a few minutes ago, and if we had multiple arrays in here, it would allow us to choose which ones we'd like to collect from. And there we go, we're finished. And there is the Dell Compellent right there collecting for us. We can go into the agent properties, and you can see that we have our last validation is a current timestamp. And then when last topology collection and performance collections all become current, we're going to know that we are good to go here. Obviously we have the credentials here, which you can change if the need arises. And you have discovered targets, which are the ones that, the arrays that we have in there. And we are all done. Thank you for your time. If you have any more questions, we have an extensive array of solutions that answer most questions. Just go ahead and visit us at quest.com, vFoglight Storage. Thank you.